no accreditation or background checks are needed to establish travel agencies. That's at least according to the travel agents who've raised concerns about a surge in travel scams within the industry. In recent incidents, travelers have been left stranded, at Cape Town International Airport after an alleged swindler failed to book their flights. Now, this person is accused of swindling travelers of more than 1.2 million rand. He has since been arrested and made his first court appearance last week. So what steps really can be taken to try at least protect you and I as travelers and also regulate the industry? Let's bring in CEO of the Association of Southern African Travel Agents, that's Otto, who joins us via our video link this morning. It's great to have you on the program, Otto. Thanks very much indeed for making time. You know, as a start, trust and credibility is such an important aspect of what you work in within your industry. And of course, as soon as there are any bad apples, they're likely to spoil it for everyone.
Absolutely, Ayanda, and thank you for having me on your show this morning. You're absolutely right, and I think that whilst these stories are distressing and it's very unfortunate, and my sympathy goes out to the general public out there that may have been caught up in some of the recent fraud incidents that have been reported. But I would like to just add that there is certainly at this point in time, certainly from our perspective, not a surge of increasing fraud cases. In fact, normally 2 or 3 of these are brought to our attention every year. It is an unfortunate reality, and we are always just requesting, as we've always done in the past, that please do your checks and balances. Make sure that you're dealing with a reputable industry player. The travel industry is a strong industry. It has pre-COVID employed more than 10,000 people and continues to grow post-COVID. And there is a lot of confidence and trust that the general public places in travel agents to fulfill their travel requirements. And in fact, we still proudly sell more than 70% of all airline tickets out of South Africa. So, you know, the industry is strong, it's healthy, it is competent, and it is very, very unfortunate that, as you say, we have these bad apples that appear every once in a while and really just disrupts the scenario.
Absolutely. You know, you speak about checks and balances, and I wonder what that looks like, Otto, because in many instances, these scammers have become incredibly good. I mean, they're able to get fake reviews, pictures, websites running. It's really difficult until you get your flight tickets to determine whether or not you've been scammed in some instances.
No, absolutely. And I think this is, again, why we try to emphasize that ISATA broadly actually provides a form of self-regulation for the industry. We have a strict set of criteria. We have a code of conduct that members have to comply by. And we also require a full set of financials on an annual basis to assure us and the traveling public that they are dealing with a credible business player. And in fact, we don't allow startup travel agents to become ISATA members until they've been trading for a minimum of 1 year, so that we're able to review those financial figures. But parallel to that, for the traveling consumer, when you are looking for a credible partner, first and foremost, again, search for an ISATA member. You can do that on our website, www.isata.co.za, and follow the Find a Member link. And then part of your process in terms of doing those assessments is checking through credible websites and consumer protection websites, including Hello Peter and others, to see whether there are any other issues that may have arisen. I think also the way that you're engaging with them from a financial point of view is very, very critical. Are you dealing with a reputable business that is registered, that it actually has a bank account? You're not paying money into a personal bank account? And also, please keep in mind that wherever possible, try to make your payments using a credit card. Because if the company is not accepting a credit card, that in itself should raise alarm bells. If you're doing an EFT, you're basically handing cash over to that person or that business. With a credit card, at least you have recourse, with an opportunity to go through to your banks and ask for a chargeback if those services have not been rendered.
Wow. In the case that I just cited now around Shahied Davids, we saw it was more of a religious pilgrim that people were part of, and that's how they were scammed when they were eventually stranded at Cape Town International Airport. I know you said there are 1 or 2 cases that have come to your attention, but typically speaking, how does this unfold? I mean, who are the people who are targets typically for this kind of scamming?
Look, I think, and this is something that seems to have popped up recently, is that a lot of the referrals that seem to be coming through are from individuals that have actually worked with these operators in the past. Now, I think that the modus operandi, whether it's intentional or whether or not they're just not managing the funds of their customers appropriately, is that there are individuals that have had very positive impacts and positive experiences with these businesses, and based on that, they then refer them to others. And then what often happens is they then actually don't fulfill their obligation and mandate on paying onwards to the suppliers. And so they almost set up a platform to build confidence. And then just when they're starting to get a nice flow of revenue coming into their bank account, they time it in such a way that it's the perfect opportunity to then sort of disappear, if you will, with the money.
Wow. Since there's no regulation, I mean, how do you kind of put some kind of red flag around these individuals? I mean, is it left down really to people speaking about their own experience? If I'm an unsuspecting traveler, how do I pick up, for instance, that something like this has happened?
Sure. Look, I think that, it's a bit of a double-edged sword, because on the one side, it's very encouraging that we're seeing this mainstream media picking up on these issues. And whilst it does affect us collectively as an industry, it gives us at the same time an opportunity to talk to you and the public around what it is that they need to keep their eyes and ears open for. And I was reading an article this morning, and it was very encouraging to see in the comments section that more and more people are recognizing how important it is to work with an ASATA accredited agent and the value and the trust that that places. And I just want to put it out there to the consumers that in the past decade, we haven't had one incident of fraud with any of our members. So we're doing a very good job at self-regulating the sector. It is just incumbent that we're able to somehow convey that message to the traveling consumer, that they will have a lot more trust and confidence dealing with an ASATA member versus a non-ASATA member.
Yeah, and you're right. It is a double-edged sword because, on the one hand, we want there to be very strict requirements for people to be able to operate in the space such that we're able to trust that they'll do right by their consumers. But on the other hand, you don't want to create these really difficult barriers to entry. You for example, spoke about, the fact that for people to be part of your association, they need to have been operating for a year. How do I do that without getting the rubber stamp from the association to begin with so that I can get the year's experience, if you know what I mean?
No, sure, absolutely. And I guess this is where the opportunity to have an industry that is self-regulated provides those businesses with a means to be able to start up a travel business. But, once they have built the basis, at that point, we would look at them being able to join us within a 12-month period. It's not a very long period of time from a trading point of view. And certainly if you are genuinely committed to delivering a business and a value proposition to the traveling consumer, you should be there after a year. And at that point, we can invite you to be part of our organization. We certainly have considered and will continue to look at whether or not there are opportunities for us to have entry-level membership. But how do we differentiate a startup business from an existing organization? Our stamp of approval is our logo. And it's something that we're extremely proud of. We've represented the travel industry since 1956. So we're also one of the oldest associations that are operating not just in South Africa, but globally in representing the travel industry.
Yeah. In many instances, those people who do fall victim to these kind of scams will be looking for some kind of recourse. My understanding is that they are protected under the Consumer Protection Act and are able to also approach the tourism department for any kind of help. Is that also your advice?
Yeah, absolutely. So the first opportunity for recourse should be to see whether you're able to engage with the travel service provider and come up with a fair and equitable resolution to the concerns that have been raised. If you're not able to do that, then you can proceed by going through the Consumer Goods and Services Ombudsman and lay a charge, at which point they will address an attempt to do what they can to redress the issue. Should that fail, then it would go through to the Consumer Commissioner.
Yeah, Otto, you're so right. On the one hand, speaking about this helps people become more aware. On the other, there may be a chilling effect. Hopefully the former takes place more than the latter. We appreciate your time this Wednesday. Otto is the CEO of the Association of Southern African Travel Agents. Thanks for your time.